Assalamualaikum dear students, hope you are well and healthy. Welcome to NIEBS Homeschool. This is Fatema Sabrin, Shikha, Assistant Teacher of National Ideal English Version School, Morning Shift. Today I am going to take work and life for the students of class 8 on the topic chapter 1, page 6 to 9. I am repeating, today our topic is chapter 1, page 6 to 9, and today we are going to read these pages. Students, this is our second lecture. Students, please take your textbook. I'm going to read the text and you will carefully listen to me. So let's start. Students, in our first lecture we have learned from page 1 to 5, and today I'm going to discuss from page 6 to 9. Lesson 3. History of the invention of fire. Fire is very important in the modern civilization. It is said that fire is one of those inventions which have introduced human beings as civilized beings. At the very outset of human civilization, when human beings used to live in the caves or on the tree planks, fire was a subject of fear. They thought fire to be the outbreak of the wrath of God. So at the outbreak of the fire in the forest, they used to do different types of things to please God. Hundreds of years passed by in this way before they discovered how fire is created in nature. They observed how a very big fire is made from the sparks which is created due to friction between the dry logs. Man also discovered how fire is created in the friction of rocks. But to create fire is not enough. They have to control over it. It took many years to take over the uses of fire and use it in different individual uses. So students, we know fire is very important in the modern civilization. We can think, we can do in our cooking or any important work without fire. The history of discovering fire was interesting because at the earlier time or ancient time, when human being introduced with fire, it was a matter of fear for them. They thought when God or Almighty got angry towards them, He created a fire. So they used to please their God. So for that, to please their God, they used to do different types of things, and it takes hundreds of years. And after that, gradually they used to discover how fire is created in nature and how they can use it, how they can be influenced or benefited by fire. So as they think that it is beneficial for them, they started to think or discover fire and used to think how they can create fire from friction of rocks. And at the last time or at one time, they were successful to invent fire that is useful for us. Now come to page number 7. To learn from the natural incident to hold the technique of setting up fire. These are the instances of both intellectual and physical labor. Man achieved competence of using fire by means of exploiting and practicing both intellectual and physical labor by taking control over fire. So at the time when they used to think that fire is the angriness of God, and after 100 years they come to know that fire can be beneficial for them, and they started to think about it, and as they were intellectual, they think that it can be beneficial for them, and men achieve competence of using fire by means of exploiting and practicing both intellectual and physical labor by taking control over fire. It means when time beings, they are not afraid of fire and they used to take the control over fire. Think a while after man had learned how to flee fire, they also learned how to use fire for individual purposes and other purposes. How did they learn so? So this is a matter of thinking. How did they learn so? One day might be some people were looking for some food. While in search of food, they might have tasted and enjoyed the burnt meat of some animal in a forest fire. They observed that burnt meat tasted better than that of fresh meat. We know that in earlier time, people used to taste food or used to take food without burning. That means they used to take fresh meat, and when suddenly they took burnt food or burnt meat, they feel the difference between the fresh meat and burnt meat, and it tastes better than fresh meat. Then they started to eat burnt meat. As it is good in taste than fresh meat, they started to eat burnt meat. This was how cooking was started. So it was the story or history of cooking started cooking. That means man learned the uses of fire by means of watching natural incident. Basically, human beings learn all these things from nature. Even now we learn many things by watching natural events. During those days, there was neither firebox nor gas lighter. So in earlier time, people didn't get firebox or gas lighter like us. Man had to light fire by the friction of stones. So as we are getting fire easily, the way was not easy for them. They had to light fire by using friction of stones or rocks. Setting up fire was very difficult. So most of the human communities used to keep fire lighted. Humans learned how to keep fire lighted for a long time by meritorious labor. Meritorious enterprise taught human beings to invent things and technology to fulfill the necessity of life. Ancient men did not have any school. As we are going to school, ancient people didn't get this opportunity. They learned being in the lap of nature from the nature. We have the opportunity to come to school and learn many things. But at that time, people used to learn from nature. After they had seen various incidents of nature, they usually thought and brainstormed. To brainstorm in this way is the instance of meritorious labor. That is, they learned so many things by meritorious labor. For example, ancient men observed that fire did not light without the presence of air. This is important how they invent. Ancient men observed that fire did not light without the presence of air. It means to light fire, they need air. Again, strong wind put out fire. So if they were able to light fire, if strong winds came, then it put out the fire. Therefore, it was important to control wind in order to set fire against something wet did not catch fire. Also, something that is wet, it didn't catch fire. That was what man also learned by intellectual labor. So from their intellectual labor, they come to discover that only in dry things they can light fire. Students, now we learn from page 8, lesson 4, invention of wheel, a milestone. In this lesson, we'll learn about wheel and how it was discovered and how nowadays we are getting influenced by their help. Long ago, human beings used to live alone. In course of time, they understood it was difficult to live alone. Everything had to be done by oneself. Besides, there was the fear of being attacked by wild animals. So, gradually they started to live together in groups. Nomads became social beings. Man had to do many things due to the necessity of living in society. Many heavy things had to be carried from one place to another place. For example, being pieces of rocks are needed to build up homes, roads, rooms, religious abodes, etc. So when people feel the necessity of living in a society and they have to carry lots of things from one place to another, they think about homes, roads, rooms, religious abodes. So Could you say how men transport these stones? Can you think about it? At the very outset, men used to bear these large stones and heavy things on their own shoulders and heads. Due to this, there were many physical problems. Then they innovated to bear heavy things on the tree trunk being dragged. Many days passed by this way. They used to transport heavy rocks from one place to another place in this way to build up big buildings, pyramid, etc. So like this way they used to build pyramids and big buildings by carrying big stones or rocks on their shoulders. So it was quite hard for them. But it took much time. Many trees had to be uprooted as it was quite impossible, and they feel that they are uprooting so many trees. So they wanted to build up something of the same shape of the tree trunks. So they started to invent something that can be made from the tree trunks. Thus, man invented wheel about 5,600 years ago. So when they invented this, they invented wheel about 5,600 years ago. Together with this, they also made up different types of transport medium with the use of wheels. There was no such modern vehicle in the ancient time. Chariots were customary transport medium of that time. This invention of wheel by man and to use that in their own necessities is the glaring example of intellectual labor. You can see the picture of wheel. So when they started to think about or discover wheel, and after that they started to think how they can modern it, make it easy than earlier. Now come to page number 9. In course of time, many developed types of wheels were invented, which we can see in the pictures below. Students, look at these pictures carefully. In first picture, you can see people used to carry big stones or rocks in their shoulders, and it was hard for them and it creates physical problem to them. That time people started to think how they can make it easy for them to carry things, heavy things from one place to other. And this thinking, they discovered tree trunk. They started to carry their heavy things by using tree trunks. And after that, they started to think that how they can make it more easy. So they think about tree trunk, they take the round shape of tree trunk and they started to work on it, and they were successful to make a round shape wheel, and they make it modern, and now you can see cycle, the wheel of cycle, and these are the blessings that they think they work on it, and now we are using the most effective tire. It makes our work easy and decreases our time. So we can save our time by using tire than before. So these are the things that made by our ancient people, and now we are getting developed or influenced by this. Students, today we have learned from page 6 to 9. Students, very soon you will get your assignment of working life, and that's why you have to read your text. Today we have discussed from page 6 to 9, and you have to read this at your home. So that's all for today. Hope you have understood today's topic. Keep practicing at home and abide by your parents. Stay well and see you again. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.